So importance of morning sadhana. So what is sadhana? What is sadhana? Practice. Sadhana is practice for attaining some end goal. Sadhana means a process which is followed for attaining one end goal. There is a sadhya. Sadhya means what is our object of achievement. So what is the goal of life? So this subject matter was discussed between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Raya. Sadhya sadhana vichar. What is sadhya and what is a sadhana? When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was talking with Ramananda Raya, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired, what is the actual aim of life? So what is sadhya and what is sadhana? Sadhya means what for this human form of life we have got. That is called sadhya. So the goal of life that is called as sadhya and sadhana. Sadhana means the activity by which we can attain, we can achieve that goal of life. So that is called sadhana. So this is called sadhya and sadhana. So in a lecture, Srila Prabhupada mentioned this. Sadhana is also giving up low grade habits. So in the material world, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada and matsarya, these things are condemned. Sadhana means a neophyte devotee, he is advised to give up these low grade habits, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada and matsarya. So giving up of these low grade habits, that is also called as sadhana. If we see our regulative principles, what we are supposed to follow, and other general Vaishnava etiquettes, what we follow, they are all meant to give up these low grade habits of kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, and matsarya. And it is also a tapasya. The sadhana, what we do is tapasya. So there is a shloka in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Rishabhadeva, the incarnation of Krishna, who appeared as Rishabha, and he had 100 sons. And he was the king, he was ruling this earth. And at a later stage, when his children were grown up, so he wanted to take sannyas for practicing spiritual life. At that time, he calls all his 100 sons and he starts instructing them. So out of those 100 sons, Bharat, he was the most famous, after whom this planet became known as Bharatvarsha. And even he also gives up his kingdom and he goes to the forest. And there he was cultivating this Krishna consciousness. Later on, he gets attached to the deer. And because of that, he had to take one more birth as a deer, later on as a Jada Bharat, and after that, he gets liberated. So Rishabhadeva was his father. They also had he also had other sons, total 100 sons. Out of them, some of them become Kshatriyas, some of them take up sannyas, like that. And 9 people, they became Navayogendras out of his 100 sons. So he calls his sons before retiring and he gives them these instructions. Nayam deho deha bhajam loke kashtan kaman arhate vidbhujam. Tapodivyam putraka yena sattvam shuddhet yasmat brahma saukyam tu anantam. So he gives instruction to his sons that this body, na ayam deha, this body means human body. Deha bhajam, those who have accepted this material body in the human society, loke, kashtan kaman arhate vidbhujam. So this human body is not meant for working hard like cats and dogs. Actually, he says pigs. It is meant for vidbhujam, stool eaters. So working hard for enjoying the senses. These kind of activities are meant for stool eaters, vidbhujam. Then what a human being is supposed to do? He is supposed to perform austerity. Tapo divyam putraka yena shuddheda sattvam. So why one has to perform austerity? To purify one's existence, purify one's consciousness. Tapo divyam. One has to perform this transcendental austerity. Putraka, my dear sons, yena sattvam shuddhet, by which you can purify your existence. And what will be the result? Yasmat Brahma Saukhyam to Anantam. After this, you'll be able to relish this Brahma Sukha, Ananta Brahma Sukha, unlimited spiritual bliss you'll be able to attain if you perform this austerity. If you are after sense gratification, then it is meant for stool eaters. Lord Rishabhadeva told his sons, my dear boys, of all the living entities who have accepted material bodies in this world, one who has been awarded this human form should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification. So one should not utilize all his energy only for sense gratification. If you see outside world, uh, people have got time, people have got energy, they have got resources, but everything they are using it for what? Simply for sense gratification. But that kind of life is not meant for human beings, which is available even for dogs and hogs that eats too. This kind of lifestyle is even available for dogs and hogs. Then how you are different from them? How human being is different from these dogs and hogs? You are also doing the same thing. What the dogs and hogs are doing, simply working hard day and night and engaging in sense gratification. One should engage in penance and austerity to attain the divine position of devotional service. One should engage in penance and austerities. Instead of simply engaging in sense gratification, one should engage in penances and austerities to attain the divine position of devotional service. By such activity, one's heart is purified, sattva shuddhi. And when one attains this position, he attains eternal blissful life. By this, one can attain eternal blissful life, which is transcendental to material happiness. It is beyond what we have got as an experience of happiness in this world. It will be beyond that, transcendental to material happiness, and which continues forever. So, this is the distinction between material sense enjoyment and spiritual bliss. So, this is forever. But sense gratification has got a beginning and end. And in the beginning, it is like nectar, at the end, it is like poison. Krishna also tells in the Bhagavad Gita, no? Different kinds of modes. Happiness in the mode of goodness, happiness in the mode of tamoguna, happiness in the mode of rajoguna. So there also Krishna describes that in the beginning, which is very pleasing and palatable, but in the end, that is like a poison. So sense gratification is considered like that. Initially, it may look very, very attractive, very, very satisfying, but in the end, one has to suffer for that. But this spiritual happiness, spiritual bliss, in the beginning, it may look little difficult. It looks like austerity. It looks like some hardship. But gradually, as one starts doing, he will start experiencing the transcendental bliss in the spiritual life. And the nature of that is that it continues forever. When the Bhagavad Gita Prabhupada mentions, people are being educated and trained to work very hard for sense gratification. So all the education and training is given for what? That you have to work hard. The children go to school, then they go to college, or they go to office. Everywhere, the only training what is given is you have to work very hard. Work very hard. And by hard work, you can earn a lot of money and then you enjoy your life. So at the present moment, the education and training is only for making people work hard for sense gratification. Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes Jada Vidya, Maya Vaibhav. This is all Maya's Vaibhava, Jada Vidya, material education. And it makes Jeev ke karaye gatha. It makes the living entity an ass. Prabhupada gives what are the qualities of ass? That it works very hard for his master. Its needs are very little. Little grass, it is satisfied. But it has to work very hard for the washerman who is loading. He goes on loading on the ass. And finally, he will give some grass. That's all. And grass is freely available. He doesn't have to work under that washerman. If it just goes out, if that ass leaves that washerman and goes, so much of the abundant grass is available. But somehow the ass thinks that unless I carry this load, so much load on me, I will not get grass. So this material education is just training people to become asses like this. And there is no sublime aim in life. There is no aim in life. Aim in life is only eat, sleep, and be merry. What will happen in the future? They don't care. A man travels to earn his livelihood, leaving home early in the morning, catching a local train and being packed in a compartment. He has to stand for an hour or two in order to reach his place of business. Then again he takes a bus to get to the office. At the office, he works hard from 9 to 5. Then he takes 2 or 3 hours to return home. After eating, he has sex and goes to sleep. For all this hardship, his only happiness is a little sex. Yan maithuna adi grahameti sukham ituch. For so much of hard work just for little sex intelligence. This is the life of materialistic person, which Prabhupada is describing here in this purport. Rishabhadeva clearly states that human life is not meant for this kind of existence. This kind of lifestyle is not meant for human beings, which is enjoyed even by dogs and hogs. Indeed, dogs and hogs do not have to work so hard for sex. A human being should try to live in a different way and should not try to imitate dogs and hogs. So what the modern education is teaching, that you are also an animal. They actually teach this in schools. That human being is also an animal. In the evolution process, so many different species are there. And human being is also just like one of those species. The alternative is mentioned. So here Rishabhdeva is giving an alternate lifestyle. Human life is meant for tapasya, austerity, and finance. Actually, this was the first word spoken at the time of creation, even before creation. Now, when Brahma was born, he hears these 2 words, ta and pa. 2 times he hears this, tapa, tapa. So this word began with tapa. And Brahma, hearing that, he thinks that some transcendental, some divine voice has come, let me follow that instruction because he will not see. He was just, when he was born, he saw that he is on a lotus. That's all. He doesn't know anything. He has no information. Who is he? What is this lotus? Where am I? And he tries to go down, climb down that lotus. Then he gets afraid. There is so much of water. Then he comes back again and sits on his lotus. Then he hears the voice, tapa, tapa. 2 times he hears this sound. Then he takes this as an instruction from some superior, some divine, and he starts performing austerities. And after so many years of austerity, then he becomes self-realized. So Krishna from within, he gives him enlightenment. So the main purpose of human life is to perform austerities and finance. By tapasya, one can get out of the material clutches. Because this sense gratification, no, it keeps us bound to this material world. We are trying to come out of this bodily concept that I am not this body, I am soul inside. The more one engages in sense gratification, the more the idea that I am this body becomes more and more solidified. The person will not be able to come out of this bodily concept that I am this body. Because sense gratification is getting some pleasure, some dopamine is going into his brain, and he is thinking that as a real pleasure. And he thinks that, oh, because of gratifying my senses, I am getting this pleasure experience. So let me do more and more. So that way, he gets more and more entangled into this bodily concept of life, thinking that I am this body. So he'll not be able to come out of this bodily concept. The more one engages in sense gratification. Therefore, human beings are instructed that you should perform austerities so that you can come out that you are not this body. When you do austerities, then you will gradually realize that you are different from this body. When one is situated in Krishna consciousness, devotional service, his happiness is guaranteed eternally. By taking to Bhakti Yoga, devotional service, one's existence is purified. The living entity is seeking happiness life after life, but he can make a solution to all his problems simply by practicing Bhakti Yoga. Then he immediately becomes eligible to return home back to Godhead. So this was of the purport. Another place Prabhupada says, their exercise is to keep the body fit. Tapasya means to keep the soul fit. We see so many people. They are also taking austerity. You would have seen gym. Now they put all glasses to do marketing. All glass windows will be there in the gym. They are lifting. No, they cannot lift, but still they are lifting. You have to pull. No? Actually, is it not austerity? Is it not tapasya? And they will be running in the morning. So many things they will be doing. They are also taking tapasya. But what is the goal? To keep my body fit. I want to keep my body fit. That's why I am taking so much of austerity. But real tapasya means to keep the soul fit. To keep the soul fit. Some tapasyas which Prabhupada is mentioning, taking bath thrice daily, and so many rules and regulations are there. But at the present age, it is not possible to follow all the rules and regulations. So formerly, uh, people used to take 3 times bath and many other rules and regulations. But at the present moment, one may not be able to follow all these rules and regulations. But at least everyone who is interested in advancing in Krishna consciousness must rise early in the morning before 4. So, because we cannot perform other austerities, the only austerity what Prabhupada has told us is to get up early in the morning. Because Mangalarti, 4:30, so if you have to get ready and come for Mangalarti, at least by 4 o'clock, one should be able to get up. And in the temple, we have made a little relaxation for those who are living outside and have to go to offices and all. So, and those who are taking initiation, for them, we recommend that at least 5 o'clock, they should get up. This is austerity which we have to take. Spiritual life, at least this much austerity we should perform. We should not take it easily that I have to chant my 16 rounds. That's all commitment I have given. So I can get up a little late, doesn't matter. Somehow I'll finish my rounds. So we should not take it lightly. Prabhupada has mercifully given us these things. So we should also be serious about these things. And we should try to follow these instructions. So especially this getting up early is very important. If you get up early, then everything goes very nice. If you get up late, means the whole day you'll be chanting. If you get up early, then you can finish. Otherwise, whole day you'll be chanting only. So this getting up early is very, very important. And what is our core strength of our spiritual life? Our core strength of spiritual life is this morning sadhana program. That is our strength. By that only we become strong, and we should not neglect that. Our entire spiritual life is standing on this our morning sadhana program only. If we neglect that, then our growth will be slow. Maybe chanting, we may be doing other services and all. But if you are not getting up early in the morning, our growth will be very slow, we will be making progress. But if you follow this strictly, every day getting up early in the morning, doing Mangalarti, whatever Prabhupada has given the morning program, will also maintain your consciousness very strong. If you do the morning program, up to Bhagavatam class, Prasadam, if you do, you will have a very strong spiritual consciousness. And Mangalarti Prabhupada says it is the auspicious beginning of the day. So Mangala means auspicious. So Mangalarti means auspicious beginning of the day. If you get up and attend Mangalarti, then whole day will be auspicious. And take his bath and become cleansed, perform Mangalartika and study. These are tapasya. This reading of books also, Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, austerity of the mind. So austerity of the mind to study the Shastras. Sometimes mind will say, oh, what is not required? What is this? I know already. Same thing is repeated again and again. Or sometimes I'm not able to understand this philosophy. So mind may put so many arguments. So we have to overcome these things. And whatever is given as a rule, just we have to stick to that. If you just go on following what Prabhupada has given, no, over a period of time, we will see that how much we got benefited by these instructions of Prabhupada. So these are tapasya. So this is in one lecture Prabhupada says. For quick advancement, these regulative functions of chanting the rounds 16 daily, rising early in the morning to attend Mangalarati, holding classes for studying our scriptures, and going on Sankirtan. These items must not be neglected. These things should not be neglected. They will quickly advance us in Krishna consciousness. If you want to advance quickly in Krishna consciousness, then we have to follow this process and clear up all doubtful activities which have been causing mischief in our society. So if everybody follows this, then there will be no problem in the society. Another place Prabhupada says that it is the duty of all my disciples, whether big or small. You must see that they strictly follow the regulative principles, the four prohibitions, as well as the devotional practices of rising early, taking morning bath, putting on tilak, attending Mangalarati, chanting Japa 16 rounds, and attending Srimad Bhagavatam class. This is the duty of all my initiated disciples. All initiated disciples, this is the duty of everybody. And Prabhupada is telling the temple uh, authorities who are managing the temple, you must see that they strictly follow these regulative principles, whether they are big or they are small. So one should not think that now I have become a big devotee, so I don't have to follow these things. It is only for the beginners. This is for everybody. Everybody must follow these instructions. Everything will be given profusely by Krishna without any doubt. So if you are following this, then Krishna will supply everything profusely to us. If you simply keep to our standard program, don't try to invent anything, roadshow or yoga village. That means chanting daily 16 rounds, rising early, attending Mangalarati like that. If this program is strictly maintained amongst all the devotees, they will remain pure. And if preaching is pure, automatically leaders, managers, funds, everything will be given profusely by Krishna without any doubt. If you are doing this, then Krishna will supply everything. And we don't have to invent anything new. Just we have to follow what Prabhupada has given. If our preaching work is neglected, or if we fall down in the in following regulative principles, such as rising before 4, chanting 16 rounds, like that. If these things are not strictly observed, then Maya will enter and spoil everything. If you are not doing this, we are giving a room for Maya to enter. If you are doing this, then we seal ourselves. Maya cannot enter. If you are slack in these things, that means we are giving the opportunity that Maya can enter. If one is not following these things, no, then everything starts appearing. There is a problem everywhere. If somebody is following this nicely, then he will see that everything is going on nicely. When somebody does not follow his sadhana, then he starts seeing problem everywhere. Problem in house, problem in office, problem in temple, everywhere problem. Except me, everywhere problem. Be the example. So my best advice to you is to strictly observe these things yourself and be the example so that all others can follow. We should also set examples to others that we ourselves should follow and be inspirations for others to follow. And we should not criticize others. Sometimes no, there is soft on oneself, strict on others. That also mentality will be there. So soft on myself. Oh, I could not get up. Oh, yesterday it was so tiring. So I could not get up. Another day, I say he did not come today. So soft on oneself, but strict on others. That also mentality not good. There is no question of spiritual life if you are not following this. You must make sure that all of these devotees are following the regulative principles very nicely. Everyone must rise early, take bath, attend Mangalarati, chant at least 16 good rounds, attend class, and follow the 4 regulative principles strictly. If these things are lax, then there is no question of spiritual life. Without these things, there is no question of spiritual life. Spiritual life does not mean no, they are putting tilak, dressing like this, and carrying a bag, no, putting bag in your neck and moving around. That is not spiritual life. Real spiritual life is whether I am following my daily sadhana. That is real spiritual life. You must see that they do not take birth again in this material world. That is your duty. Therefore, you and your good wife must endeavor strongly together to become fully Krishna conscious through this simple, sublime process that I have given. So Prabhupada is telling some husband and wife that they should strictly together follow this simple process, and also they should teach their children also so that they don't have to take birth in this material world again. By simply following this process without deviation, chanting 16 rounds, following the 4 regulative principles, attending classes and Mangalarati, rising early, these things will gradually bring you to the platform of pure love of Krishna. If one follows this, gradually one will come to the platform of pure love of Krishna, which is the ultimate goal. All practitioners, ultimately, they want to come to this state of developing their spontaneous love for Krishna. And the formula for that is this sadhana program. All the temple members, without exception, must rise by 4 a.m. and attend Mangalarati. Everyone living in the temple must agree to this standard by proper understanding of the philosophy of tapasya. So one should understand why I am doing this, why this is required, why this is necessary. One should understand the philosophy of tapasya. One has to perform austerity. Without that, there is no question of spiritual life. Without that, there is no progress. So philosophically, one should understand and follow all these rules and regulations what are set by Shloka. We cannot expect our guests to follow all our principles. So sometimes there may be some guests in the temple, but not that we force our guests also. Somebody who's staying in the guest house, 3 o'clock, we go and knock their doors. This is temple. You all should come and attend Mangalarati. So we cannot expect our guests to follow these things. But whoever lives in the temple must follow. The temple inmates, the missionaries, and also those who are taking initiation, they should also strictly follow these things. When you become fully Krishna conscious by worshipping the deity regularly, as we have got prescription to rise early in the morning, offer Mangalarati, then Kirtan, then class. In this way, practicing, when you become advanced Krishna conscious, then your natural tendency will be how to preach. The result of this sadhana will be that one becomes a preacher. If somebody is strictly following these things, the result will be that one will start thinking that I want to preach this to others. So this was some things about sadhana. Morning sadhana, very important. One should never neglect these things and try to rise early in the morning. Sometimes because of our work schedule and other things, we may miss on occasions, but we should not make it as a habit. Again, immediately next day, we should come back to our routine. Suppose we were sick and we are not able to attend. After we become cured, then immediately we should come back to our routine. It should not become a habit. I missed on one day, today. Then it has become a habit that I am not doing any morning sadhana. That should not happen. And about fasting, we discussed about honoring prasadam. We also fast on certain days. And this fasting is also on the same principles of tapasya as we have discussed, the morning sadhana. Some quotes on this subject. This is in a talk, Sham Sundar. Even if you don't want to practice austerity, you are forced to. Prabhupada. No, because you have surrendered to your spiritual master, his order is final. So even if you don't like, you have to do it to please me. Even you don't like. Nobody likes to fast, but spiritual master says, today is fasting. So what can be done? Prabhupada loves. This is austerity. So one must try to please the spiritual master. Whatever order the spiritual master has given, one should try to execute it to the best of his capacity. And by that, the spiritual master gets pleased. This we see in the life of Krishna himself. Krishna, after going to Mathura, he was sent to Gurukul under Sandipuni Muni. And there he was living just like any other disciples they live. And they would go and collect firewood for yajna and for cooking. So he and Sudama, one day they go out to collect firewood. Then suddenly it starts raining heavily, full of thunder and storm and lightning. And to protect themselves from this rain, they just stand under the shade of a tree. And the rain is not stopping at all. Whole day it is raining. Night came, then also it is raining. And they could not return to the Gurukul. And whole night they were in the jungle only. And next day morning, when the spiritual master comes to know that they both have not returned, they had gone out to collect firewood, they have not returned. Then he, along with other disciples, he sets out to search for them in the jungle. And finally, they go and find them under some tree. And that time, his spiritual master gives them the benediction that so much you are determined to serve your spiritual master without caring for your personal bodily convenience. And I bless you that whatever you have learned, it will remain in your memory. Like that, he gives some other blessings. I'm not really remembering. But there, Prabhupada, I think, mentions that how one has to serve his spiritual master without caring for his bodily comfort or discomfort. So here Prabhupada is mentioning, because you have surrendered to your spiritual master, his order is final. After surrendering, you cannot argue. You can ask questions before surrendering. After surrendering, you have to follow whatever the spiritual master says. Even if you don't like, you have to do it. Please me. Even you don't like. Nobody likes to fast, but spiritual master says, today is fasting. What can be done? This is austerity. And disciple means who has voluntarily agreed to be disciplined by the spiritual master. The meaning of disciple itself is that voluntarily I am agreeing that whatever rules he will set, I will follow. Voluntarily I am going and surrendering to the spiritual master that now onwards I will follow your instruction. and that is austerity. Another conversation, devotee. On Ekadashi, we can offer the deity grains. Prabhupada, oh yes, but not Guru. Ekadashi observed by Shiva Tattva, not by Vishnu Tattva. On Ekadashi, we can offer grains to the deity. We are fasting for clearing all material disease, but Radha Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also may not be offered grains because he is playing the part of a devotee. Only Radha Krishna Jagannath can be offered grains. Otherwise, Guru Gauranga, no. And the prasadam should not be taken by anyone. It should be kept for next day. So this we follow in the temple on Ekadashi. We follow the grains separate plate, the Vishnu Tattva deities, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and all spiritual masters. We keep a separate plate of non-grains, but at home it may not be possible to follow this standard. It is okay, whatever we are eating, that we can offer on Ekadashi. Right? Even non-grain is also okay. But in temple, the standards are little higher. So in the temple, this is followed. This instruction of Prabhupada is followed. But for us, we have to fast from the grains. Morning walk. No artificial. Just like Raghunath Das Goswami, he was fasting. But he was not weak. That fasting. And he who will fast artificially and become weak, I cannot work. That is not required. That is called Markata Vairagya. So one should also not try to do artificially severe austerities and then become weak and then say that, oh, I cannot work. I become so weak by doing this austerity. That is called Markata Vairagya. If you fast and at the same time do not become weak, then that is recommended. And after fasting, you cannot do a flat, all flat. Then what is the use of fasting? Now today is Ekadashi, I am doing Nirjal, I'll sleep. I become very weak. The whole day I'll sleep. Doing Nirjal Ekadashi today. So this kind of fasting, falling flat, that kind of fasting is not useful. If you're not feeling weak, then we can do such austerities. Otherwise, we can accept non-grain and continue our service. Raghunath Das Goswami was fasting, but he was taking thrice bathing and offering obeisances 100 times. So Raghunath Das Goswami used to just eat little butter once in 2 days or 3 days like that. Only that much, only one time. But that does not mean that he was weak. 3 times he used to take one, and every day he used to offer 100 obeisances. His regular activities was not stopped. Another morning walk. On the calendar, it says it is Bhima Ekadashi. Prabhupada says, Bhima Ekadashi, yes. Commission. So I have been told that if one fasts on Bhima Ekadashi, that is like fasting on all Ekadashis. Is that true? Prabhupada, yes. Ekadashi is meant for fasting, either Bhima or Arjuna. Either it is Bhima Ekadashi or Arjuna Ekadashi. Ekadashi means you have to fast. But we cannot fast. Therefore, we have to take little fruits. And otherwise, Ekadashi means fasting. Kamal Krishna. If it is possible, should we go without eating at all? Prabhupada, yes, but don't lie down and sleep. Another morning walk. If there is service and on my fasting, service will be stopped, then I can take. So if there is service, I am fasting, and because of that, service is getting stopped. In such case, I can eat, I can break my fast. So the service is more important. First consideration, service. Now, if somebody feels weak, can take Mahaprasad, render service. Another morning walk. Rameshwara will explain that. Prabhupada. Fasting and feasting is the same. Rameshwara. That what they told me. Prabhupada. Yes, it is in Krishna consciousness. For Krishna. For Krishna, you fast or feast. The same thing. Better fast. Between fasting and feasting, it is better to fast. Rameshwar, by the devotees, is that in the spiritual world, every day is feasting, Prabhupada, and there is no fasting. Fasting is recommended when a man is deceased. When he is health, when he is in health, there is no feast, there is feasting. So spiritual world means health. Why there should be fasting? So fasting is only in the material world. When we go to the spiritual world, no more fasting, only feasting. Kushal, may I ask another question, Srila Prabhupada? Are fasting and other dietary regulations necessary for leading a spiritual life? Prabhupada says, certainly. Tapasa brahmacharyena shamena damena va tyagena sattva shauchabhyam yamena va. To advance in spiritual life, these things are essential. Tapasya. Tapasya means voluntarily accepting something which may be painful. Just like we are recommending no illicit sex, no gambling, no meat eating. So those who are accustomed to these bad habits, for them, in the beginning, it may be a little difficult. But in spite of becoming difficult, one has to do it. That is called tapasya. Another good. To rise early in the morning, those who are not practiced is a little painful, but one has to do it. So this is called tapasya. So according to the Vedic injunction, there are some tapasyas that must be done. It is not, I may do it or not do it. It must be done. Just like in the Mundaka Upanishad, it is ordered that one must go to the spiritual master. Tadvijnanartham sa gurumeva abhigachet. So there is no question of voluntarily, but it must be. And one must carry out by the order of the spiritual master and the order of the Shastra. That is called tapasya. Just like in our life, Ekadashi is compulsory. One may feel some inconvenience fasting or simply eating fruits. No, it must be done. There are so many rules and regulations which are essential. It must be done. That is called tapasya. Without consideration whether it is convenient or inconvenient for you, which is must be done. That is called tapasya. So we follow fasting on certain days in a year. Just like Janmashtami, we fast till midnight. And Gaur Purnima, we fast till moonrise. Narsimha Jayanti, we fall till the dusk. Ram Navami till sunset. And earlier we were eating grains on other days except Ekadashi after fasting. But recently there were some quotes of Prabhupada where Prabhupada is mentioning that after fasting, the fast has to be broken, same like Ekadashi. So the last, I think Ram Navami onwards, we have started that. And after the fast ends, we are not taking grains, we are taking just like Ekadashi, non-grain. Next day, we take the grain prasad. Narsim Chaturdashi and Ram, because this will be meeting here, we have mentioned with non-grains. Then Nityanand Trayadashi, we fast on half day, Varaha Dvadashi. Varaha Dvadashi and Ekadashi almost follow together. So the Varaha Dvadashi we follow on Ekadashi only. There are some Dvadashis which are more important than Dvadashi. Then that time we don't follow Ekadashi. We follow Dvadashi. So on Dvadashi, first half we do full fasting. Second half we do for Ekadashi. So Varaha Dvadashi comes like that. And Vamana Jayanti. So all these days we fast till afternoon. So apart from that, there is no other fasting. Only hardly some 10 days in a year. In 365 days plus Ekadashis. Appearance disappearance days of Acharyas. That also comes. That counts. For Varaha Dvadashi, full fasting. All these days full fasting. Vaman Jayanti, Baldam Purnima, Radha Pushtami, Radhashtami. So we fast till after till 12 o'clock without taking anything. Somebody has any health reasons or something, they can take something. Otherwise, if we are healthy, till afternoon we have to fast. After that, we can take grains. And Janmashtami and Gaur Purnima, Narsim Jayanti, Ram Navami, we try to fast till evening. But if somebody is not able to follow, then they can try first half day not eating anything. Control as much as possible as long as, then if it is becoming intolerable, then you can drink some water and see if you can manage. That is also not happening, you can take some fruits. If that is not so happening, you can take some milk or something and try to follow as long as possible on these days of fasting. So that is the end of this topic. If there are any questions, we'll take up. After that, we'll be doing Guru Puja. If any questions are there, even in the previous topics, because we could not take any question and answers on prasadam, on morning sadhana, and on fasting, we covered these topics today. It's 6 o'clock. If there are no questions, then we will do Guru Puja. Shila Prabhupada ki